Well, it's time to rank every class in order in Arcane Odyssey. I'm going to be ranking them on my own personal opinion of their effectiveness and general performance as a class. Bear in mind this video is subjective and there isn't supposed to be any unfair or weak classes, but VTEX and the balancing team just can't balance the damn game. Now onto the list. Number 1 goes to Warlord, and I won't go into detail for this one, just watch my previous video for it. The number 2 spot for me is Warrior. Warrior was stronger last update, experiencing AoE nerfs this one though, which put the class out of favour for a lot of people, but it still has substantial AoE if you use the right weapons. Warrior is similar to Warlord in its ability to have higher damage with high HP, but Warriors aren't as fast though, and have bigger AoE weapons. Warrior is generally quite versatile since weapons have a fully customized moveset, allowing you to switch playstyle for every fight. Number 3 on this list has got to go to Berserker, which for some reason has a lot of people in my comment section thinking it should be number 1. But while it may have the pure build experience of Shapes, Ultimate Art, and Tier 3, it just isn't as good as Warrior and Warlord in my opinion. The thing is with Shapes, yes you can gain plus 10% damage, but that damage isn't particularly notable when you think about it. Because with Shapes you're gaining something in exchange for losing something else. This damage is also overshadowed by the Warlords, the Warriors sometimes, and the particularly strong Warlocks. Negatives aside, the pure build experience is better, like Tier 3 may be just AoE, but overall it is a more enjoyable thing to have as a class. It also has the ability to use Axe Slash and an attack exclusive to Berserkers, allowing them to have some ranged capability beyond shot. It's something of a blast equivalent, but also having knockback. Number 4 on this list is Warlock, which is capable of some painfully strong synergies and high damage. Some synergies include Lightning Iron Leg, Lightning Sailors, Explosion Thermo, and Acid Thermo. But don't worry, you don't need to an obscene synergy for Warlock to be good, it has high damage anyway. My Light Sailors could do about 240 with its Crash, and by the way, at 87 power and use 60% size if you're wondering. Warlock also as a hybrid has the ability to use magic, but its moves aren't on par with strength counterparts, e.g. Shot and Beam, Smash and Explosion, Rush and Snare. But the magic beam does have longer range than shot, by a significant margin. Blast is also useful too, allowing the user to have some degree of capability against zoners. Warlock is generally an above average class and deserves its place as number 4. Our 5th spot goes only to Conjurer, my former favourite class. Conjurer is a very varied class in terms of playstyle, which magic's oftentimes forcing their users into playstyles though. For example, a Magma Conjurer has very slow speeds, so they're confined to close range weapons like Rapier, Great Axe, Great Sword and Kais. Slow magics do seem to incentivize being an AoE demon on Conjurer. Oh well, the projectiles will never hit anyway. Conjurer is also a very varied class due to the different magics. There's DOT based Conjurers like Acid and Poison, raw damage Conjurers like Sand, Lightning, Water and Crystal. It's also got nice versatility, being able to use weapons up close and magic at range for example. It also does have the especially big ranged attacks like Flying Slash. It also does have powerful close range capability depending on build and weapon set. 130 weapon, 120 magic can use its snares as a bonus to gain distance, and its beams obviously to help at that distance. It also has its close range skills too. The Conjurer experience can be compared to a more versatile and customizable warrior. Conjurer having magic also negates the need for projectile weapons to some extent, allowing more choice in your set. Conjurer is just generally a solid class and a good experience. It was my favourite class for a couple months, from just how fun it was. It wasn't meta, it was just fun. That's the point. In my opinion, it's a much better experience to play than Warrior, even if Warrior is stronger. Number 6 is going to surprise you, but it makes sense, trust me. It's going to Knight on this one, and I'm 100% serious. I'm using Presence from Church of Iris. I think he's co-leader now, in fact, as an example for a build on this. The thing is, the way Vitality works is that it reduces the damage of a build by half of the percentage of stats invested into it. So if you invest 40% stats into Vitality, which is 100 points currently, you're going to lose 20% of your damage. That's quite a lot, but you can compensate with way more power since you have 400 more base health. This is Presence's stats, so while he has 120 power, add that to the base of 144, he has 266. 20% of 266 is 53.2, so if you subtract 53.2 from 266, he effectively has 212.8 power with almost 1.7k health. For reference, my mage is 239 power with 1589 HP, so if you adjust for defense to power ratios, it's only slightly weaker than a warrior with the same health. The loss of warrior exclusive weapons is unfortunate, but not defining. As a Vitality class though, Knight is the squishiest, as it doesn't have an aura/mode. In future with spirit weapons, this may result in a lower placement. It actually only got this mid-ranking placement because of the general weapons experience. So number 7 is my current class of choice, Mage. Now you may be thinking, why in the unholy hell would you be playing a class you've ranked at 7th out of the of the 10 playable classes? And I'll tell you, it's fun as hell. There's something that feels rewarding about hitting the Paralyzed synergy or hitting a beam for 270 damage or so. Thing is, mages are low ranking because weapons and fighting styles are generally way easier to use and do more damage. However, mage, if optimized for it, can do big damage like any other class. It's just more difficult to use and hit like that. I think that's just a problem with mage. It's difficult to balance though, as hitting all your shots as a mage is probably the most rewarding class to be extremely good at, making them stronger to put them on par with the likes of the top of this list for people of equal, as in like low to mediocre skill to have equal results, would be making mage ungodly broken, as unless you optimize specifically for huge AoE, mage is one of the most skill dependent classes. Number 8 is going to none other than Juggernaut, and for good reason. Juggernaut is actually one of the worst classes for now, and I'll explain why. And first off, it has low damage. You could also make this argument for Knight, but Knight is actually an effective build using weapons and a higher power stat to still do somewhat substantial damage. The thing is, weapons are just better than fighting styles at the lower tier. With Juggernaut 2, it's got 0 versatility, and of course it's lower damage. They're forced to have the moves of an under-leveled Berserker, as they don't have backslash to have range capability in the slightest, and there's a good chance they're going to be using Iron Leg or Thermo Fist, in which case Iron Leg might be helpful to gain some extra health, but they're going to be slow and have mediocre AoE. With Thermo, there's no redeeming quality, except maybe some degree of speed, and other styles are just useless entirely for this. Their Awakening is also useless due to the fact the moveset on the second style having only Crash and Smash. Juggernauts are just generally subpar. Now coming ninth is Savant, and Savant is the mix of weapons, strength, and magic. The issue with Savant is the lack of moveset, and to some extent AoE. Savants are generally a rare class, and for good reason. They're usually confined to using old weapons with no close range capability from the comically small AoE. Their fighting styles are tiny and will probably not have rush or shot. Savant magic is also pretty small, but arguably their best aspect in my opinion. Savant doesn't have much to it, except being exceptionally difficult to use, with not much reward for being competent at it. But F class is an absolute embarrassment. Number 10 goes to Paladin. Paladins, no matter the magic, will do less damage than the lowest damage magic, Light. Paladins hit lightly, but have health if they're insane tanking-oriented builds. They lose Pulsar, tier 3 spells, shapes, significant use of second magic just for 400 HP. Unironic Paladin users are genuinely the goofiest people unless they're trolling. If you use Paladin unironically yourself, you just must hate yourself. There's no redeeming factor for using Paladin. Get well soon if you use Paladin. Number 11 is Warden, because it isn't out yet and there's no moves except weapon M1s. And that's it. Thank you for watching this whole thing. It took ages to write. If you could possibly subscribe as a small token of appreciation, maybe. Nonetheless, this video was a good pastime to write yesterday, and by the way, the script's word count was 1582 and the character count was 8,993. Please subscribe for this, please subscribe for this one, man. Help me re-overtake Femcell despite his extreme rapid growth and consistent uploads.